Trevor, Jacob, great seeing you guys. Thank you so much for making time for me, especially because we got to explain. Because when we first started this, it was just going to be audio. You guys worked it out that it was going to be visual. Where are you guys right now? Because it's the life of touring for O Town.
Yeah, we're at the Finger Lakes right now, at a state park. I mean, it's beautiful, dude. We try and find these cool campgrounds. We were doing a lot of hiking. My daughter and wife are out doing it now, and we try to explore in between shows and tours. This is what we're doing. So,
Wait, did I just hear daughter? Are we talking about parents here with you guys?
yeah, my wife and my 4-year-old are out, exploring right now on the bikes.
That's got to be crazy, man. Did you ever think before O Town or that you would have the life that you guys have right now?
Man, we're just talking about this yesterday. We're so lucky, man. We're so lucky we get to, tour the world, tour the country, doing what we love. He's got his wife and his kid out in the RV on the road. She's getting all kinds of wonderful experiences, just family stuff. We're so blessed, man. It's crazy. So lucky.
Well, we are blessed because Fallsview Casino is going to be having you guys part of the big tour. It's back in the day, and that's what it's all about, man. And the reason why I wanted to make sure we were on visual is because, believe it, I have something here. Let me just pick this up. When you guys came to Toronto, and I was with my radio station, 680 News, I had a chance to interview you guys, and I got
At
that you guys signed. And it was part of a promotion setup for meeting you guys. And when I met you guys are doing a big show. I think, and I could be wrong, but I think you guys were performing at Canada's Wonderland. And you guys signed this.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
And I've kept it. And actually, I keep really important things in this. And I've always kept it. And like I said, it's signed. And
it's still working condition. Look
at
that.
Still working condition.
Mint condition there.
This was one of the things that was in it. This was part of the, it's too much light, but it was part of the promotional, just talking about you guys.
Yeah, look at J Records,
And then I also got in it, again, just to write up on you guys, on what you guys are all about.
That is awesome.
And then I have one more thing that was in there.
That stuff's all
and
so
this is the best part. Oh yeah. BMG Records, and saying basically, hey, if you want to do an interview with these guys, and my buddy Cameron is the guy who set it up. I kept all of this, man. We talking now 20 years at least.
Yeah. I love it.
Oh man. And I got to tell you something. It was such a great time for me because I was just sort of starting out as a music reporter and getting a chance to interview you guys and so many of the new artists that were breaking back then. It was an honor for me. So I want to say, for me, to you guys, thank you so much for helping my career. Man, what was it like for you guys back then, especially because we were introduced to you guys from Making the Band on a television show. And that cannot be easy to do. Most of the other bands, if you want to call them boy bands or whatever, it was more behind the scenes when we were introduced to them, but we had to do it in front of cameras. What was that like for you guys?
It was still a trip to go back and look at. It was a lot of pressure. There was a lot going on. We were just trying to focus on the music, the TV cameras. You really do. When you live and breathe with them like you did back then, you start to forget they're there. And you do. The first season really got like the inside scoop of what our feelings were. We were focused just on that audition and just on making the band, and it was the rawest form of that. You could see how it got a little easier to be on camera. We got more comfortable with it as the seasons went on. But I think us being focused on music back then kept our head on our shoulders. I mean, we had a lot of work. We didn't have a lot of time for play.
Yeah, it was quite an experience, man. I mean, we got lucky enough to sign with Clive Davis. That alone, that's what gave us any type of credibility, really. Once we signed with Clive, it was like, okay, maybe these guys are going to be pretty good. They're not just going to be a TV show, So that was one of the best things, was to be able to work with him.
I remember when Liquid Dreams debuted. It was during this. It was in the series that they debuted. If I remember the video, it was so cool. I mean, everybody was loving it. The video itself, the song itself, was it like a rocket from the point when that video was released and that song was released? Was it a rocket for you guys because you're touring with so many artists? Like I think you guys toured with Britney Spears and other artists too.
Yeah, I mean, it started though weird because we were almost treated famous before we were famous because we had the cameras surrounding us. Everywhere we went, people just thought we must be celebrities. So we were getting like the fanfare, and the people would go, "So who are you guys?" And like before the show even came out.
Yeah.
So by the time by the time the single came out in the video, it was still the TV show, which was the huge big deal. So for us, it was a catapult, but it was before that. It was before even the song came out. The TV show and the cameras around us with, it's not just cameras following you, it's those movie quality lights,
right, the kino lights, big,
you're lit up, everybody knows you're coming, and it's a big spectacle. So we had a hard time hiding from it since day one.
We always joke about that, like nowadays if there's a reality show out and other celebrities are trying to get on it. Like if you come in the restaurant and there's another celebrity, that celebrity's like, "Oh, let me go say what's up to him. I'll get on their show." Da da da. That was not the case for us. We're the first reality show, on network television. When we showed up anywhere where there was any other celebrities, they're like, "Keep those guys away from me. Like, we're not signing. We don't want to be on their TV shows." It's like crazy. We're like the plague.
Right.
I'm curious. What did you think?
Not everyone was like that.
I'm curious. What did you think of P. Diddy's version of it when he took over? What did you think of it?
Yeah, I think that he just took the formula and just made it hip hop, which was cool. I mean, it grew a whole new fan base. Yes. became an urban show, but he just used the name. So, a lot of times I'll tell people like, "Oh, they'll be like, yeah, making the band. Oh, that's the one with Diddy." You're like, no, but before Diddy, Lou Pearlman had it. Diddy kind of took the name. I wish those bands were together. We could do like a making the band tour. That'd be dope. But
that would be
none of them are together.
That would be so cool. What was it like though? Let's go back to the touring and stuff and do you even remember coming to Toronto? Because of course I still got the stuff. I've got the pictures and everything. What was that like? Because a lot of times people will say that when it came to boy bands, Toronto really was the place to be broken.
Yeah, Toronto was crazy. We have one of our craziest stories. Like they shut down an entire street one time when we showed up. We went to one of the radio stations there, and somebody gave us a hamster. Like
that's what I remember.
Yeah, we got a hamster
and like a huge cage, and as much as we wanted to keep that hamster, crossing back over the border with a big hamster cage is going to be hard to explain. So we left it at the radio station in Canada, and they said it lived a nice happy life there.
Yeah.
Oh man, such good times. And you guys, what was the other song that actually became a top 3 for you guys after Liquid Dreams? Because you released another.
Yeah, All or Nothing was that was the biggest song for us. That one was number 1 on radio in the States for 4 weeks straight, and number 3 overall. Yeah, that was a big one. And we still, we start the show with Liquid Dreams, we end our show with All or Nothing. We kind of bookend it, and then you get the hits in between, the We Fit Togethers, These Are the Days, and then a few new ones. Would love doing our mashup cover section. And now with Chris, from NSYNC on the show, we do a pretty cool NSYNC mashup and a section. I don't want to give too much away, but the NSYNC fans will love that.
You're definitely gonna be brought back. Nostalgia is heavy on the tour, so it's gonna be a lot of fun, man. We're very excited.
Was it tough to be compared to the other bands that were out there, like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC? And of course, Canada had a lot of their own bands as well, too. Was it tough to be compared? Like, how did you have to make sure that you set yourselves aside from everybody else and not just say, yes, we were put together by a television show?
Well, I mean, we were. So that was actually the biggest difference out of the gate was that. So we kind of leaned into that, like, hey, this is our story. This is our story. This is the way we came together. We're
Right.
put together on TV. Now let's go out there and prove to everyone that we're should be taken serious as, you know, artists and performers. You know, the only thing that was tough as far as like being compared to them, it was great to be in the same sentences as them. People are already comparing us and we haven't done anything. That was probably the hardest thing, was that since we're
Right.
being compared to them, we had to be as good as them, you know, and we've only been together for a month and a half. And it's like, we got shows, people know who we are. So that was probably the hardest part about it. But, you know, once we got our sea legs, like you know, we were happy to, you know, share a stage with them. You know, it's like, yeah.
What was the toughest thing about being part of this era? Because I can only imagine fans trying to sneak into your rooms, or, you know, just all that stuff. What was the pressure like, though? Because let's face it, when you're on top, you always have to turn around because, oh, somebody else wants to take your spot. What was that like?
Well, we were kind of the end of that era when it came to pop music being what it was. When you're, you know, the two biggest boy bands are selling 1.5 million and then 2.1 million records in a day. You know, so where do you go from there? And so we saw that entire switch where buying albums became, you know, streaming music. The shift in sales, the shift in the tastes of people, because pop music was
Napster being involved? Napster being
right.
involved too?
That was like right when we were at our peak, and everybody in pop music that was like the peak of the era. I mean, we spent over $1 million on Liquid Dreams video. That stuff's unheard of nowadays, and shortly after that was unheard of.
Yeah.
So it was fun. It was fun to see where pop was, to be a part of that huge spectacle with the massive sales and all the money and influx. And MTV was the biggest thing, so videos were like the biggest marketing tool, and you're spending millions of dollars on videos. That was an amazing thing to be a part of. And also, I think the difficult thing, I feel like it still is too with the industry, is to feel like, how do we shift and get back to that where music was such a, you know, TRL was something everybody ran home after school to see, and streaming has taken that away. So I feel like we're always still struggling to bring that excitement back that we had in that late 90s 2000s era of music, where it was just, I don't know, running home from school to everybody watch the top 10. And I mean, that was some of our best memories, and shutting the streets down. And this kid just the other day was like, oh man, you're a musician? I mean, we don't talk about it often because it's the litany of questions, but I looked at him like, how old are you? He goes, I think he was like 25. I'm like, do you know what TRL is? He goes, never heard of it. I'm like, yeah, no, you wouldn't know us. like, that's how far it's gone though. Like, it would shut down the streets of New York, and people don't even know what it is. Like, I feel like they're missing out a little bit on how fun it was.
Massively. Did you guys actually break up, or did you just decide to take time away to do your own projects?
Yeah, exactly that. But then that turns into a breakup. You know, it's like, hey, we had gotten pulled from our lives, went to an audition, and then we were just gone. You know, none of us had a chance to even move out of wherever we were living. Like, that was all just left on the people that were left there. We had 4 straight years of just life. And then, you know, after the second album and you know, Clive dropped us, we just kind of made a decision like, hey, let's take a break. You know, but then you take 5 people and they go like this, and like, you shoot that way, you shoot that way, you shoot that. That's like, oh, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, 4 years, 5. It's like, oh my God, it's been 10 years. Oh, wow, you know, do we want to do this? And then, yeah, sure enough, you know, we got in a room together and made it happen. Now we've been together 2 times as long as we were the first time.
Was it 2013 you guys released your first single from, what was the song again?
Skydive.
What was that like, coming back together to do that?
Oh man, it was a long time coming.
Yeah,
but really special because it was like, you know, like now all of our tastes have matured and not necessarily changed, but definitely we all have always been pulling from different influences. So to get back together, go, okay, now what does O-Town sound like 10 years later? And what does O-Town sound like with us individually 10 years later? Like, finding that to say, what would an O-Town song sound like then? And that kind of like journey to find Skydive and have that be the first power ballad type single to come out with, it felt very Like it was the right move. It felt like that's where we left off. Let's start there with that big power ballad, and then let's take them on the journey of our new music since. Because Chasing After You, we've done a lot of dance music and just really fun hip hop type music, and we've experimented a lot in the last two albums because we get to do our own way. The fans support it, and it's been a lot of fun.
Now, you kind of mentioned it earlier. Let's get back to the tour. What is the show going to be like when fans get a chance to see this? Because there's so many great acts who are going to be performing with you also.
Yeah, this is going to be a special year for Pop 2000. We've got Chris Kirkpatrick hosting. Like I said, we've created an entire new NSYNC portion for him to come out, and we always hope he joins us. It usually happens because the fans chant pretty hard. Smash Mouth's joining the tour.
Yes.
For the shows. This will be their first one. Ryan Cabrera, we've been touring with for like 6 years, 7 years. He's just part of the band at this point. LFO, a slew of hits for the night. It's a lot of fun and brings you right back to those good old days.
Energy, nostalgia, fun. Expect all of that.
Is it fun now when you get a chance to do these shows and you see loyal fans, maybe some fans you remember, but suddenly those loyal fans are bringing their kids with them. The generations are moving forward, but they're still staying with O-Town.
Yeah. They're making new fans for us.
Yeah,
literally.
It's great.
Speaking of new fans, is there going to be new music?
Yeah, we're talking about that again. We had a fan-funded album right before COVID, and it took a year and a half for us to even be able to tour those songs, and we've kind of gotten to a point now where we're like, all right, it's time for something new. So we've been discussing that recently, and we're excited to see what's next.
Before we wrap this up, two other questions. One, is there a chance that you guys might do a documentary on your lives? Because I think it would be really cool to have that, or even writing a book or something to give us really your perspective on what it was like from back then to what's going on today.
Yeah, I would definitely not put it past us. Obviously, we come from television, so it would seem kind of natural to do a catch-up type documentary or something, possibly in the future. Yeah, for sure. I definitely would not. I would say that's could definitely happen.
And what advice do you give the new artists who are hoping to follow in your footsteps? I mean, I can only imagine when you were watching things like when Justin Bieber was breaking, and then seeing the problems that he was going through, watching the things that happened with Britney Spears. I mean, you guys were on the other side of the velvet rope, so you guys can understand those pressures. What advice can you give those artists who are hopefully going to be following your footsteps and then hopefully break out and become superstars? It's not an easy thing. The glamour looks great, but it's not always easy to be in front of that microphone.
Right, correct. I mean, we think long term, so don't ever take yourself too seriously. And try to enjoy every bit of the process. There's so much. You work with people that are wiser than you, that have been in the game a long time, learn how to stay in the game a long time. And you don't need to fight for everything, because sometimes people do know what's better. Because we're talking about kids. I know I was very stubborn, so I'm talking to people like me, very stubborn. Sometimes, let the people that have been there longer than you teach you, learn from it, and I hope you're there for the long haul.
Yeah, and do it for the love, not for the likes.
Truth. You got truth. Guys, I'm going to let you go. I want to say again, thank you so much for signing this from back in the day. Thank you so much for keeping the music alive and keeping that era alive, and looking forward to not just the show, but everything you guys are going to be doing in the future. It was a great time. It was a great era. I'll never forget it. And so many fans out there will never forget it. And they love to relive it through you guys. Thank you again.
I appreciate that, Rudy. Thank you.